Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to continue to work on this 1983 Yamaha IT 175. I'm going to be doing the one fork leg. I'll show you how to change the fork seal and adjust the oil when you put new oil in. As well, I'm going to be restoring the lower fork leg, sanding all the scratches out. So I'll invite you to come along and check that out. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, today we're going to replace this fork seal and restore the fork. So I'm just going to get this clamp off that somebody put in the wrong spot. And try to get this old fork gator off. There's not much left of it. We'll keep these clamps for later. First thing I'm going to do is take it over to the Varsol tank and get all this crud off. So I don't want that getting inside the fork. Okay, first thing we're going to do is try to get as much oil out as we can. You loosen this, you leave the bottom triple clamp tight, loosen that before you pull it off the bike. Looks like somebody had put new fork oil in it at some point, but the seal was leaking so bad. Next thing we're going to do is pop this little clip out. Yeah, we have to get this hex bolt loose in the bottom. It's a 10 millimeter. Okay, the internal mechanism in there is spinning, so I'm going to get a tool in there to help hold it. So there is a special tool for this. I'm just going to use a pry bar. You just need something to hold it a little bit while you back this other nut out. There you go. You don't have to have the special tool. If you want to build one, it just is, I'll show you when we get it apart what you'll have to build. They put a little Loctite on there at the factory. And there's also a copper washer in here. And I'll keep with that bolt for now. This could get a little messy, but now that we got that clip out here and the bolt out of the bottom, go ahead and get this apart. Okay, to help visualize what's in the fork, when I put that pry bar down to hold it, this is where the tool would go. And you could make a tool with a nut, well, a piece of pipe on it with a T-handle on the end, if you have to, if you've got a stubborn one. And it is, for reference, 24 millimeters across, so that's the size of nut you need. I can't remember what the size would be at a bolt supply, but that should help you out there. That's the screw we took out of the bottom of the fork. Holds that little collar. I've taken this to the Varsol tank and flushed it all out. It's full of a lot of gunk. Anyway, we're going to leave that for now and concentrate on restoring this lower fork leg. These are originally clear coated. Looks like there was a decal, but the decal's shot. Lots of scratches, so I'm going to polish this out so it looks a little nicer. Decided to do the seal first. Normally I would have slugged the seal off this end, but there's a little bit of rust pitting there and I'm afraid it'll cut the new seal. So I put a piece of tape around the end of the fork where these little ridges are to help it slide over. Just going to use a bit of fork oil on there and on the new seal. The tape is there to help it slide over without wrecking anything. If you just tried to slide it over that without the tape, you might end up hurting the seal. Okay, this lower fork leg was originally clear coated at the factory. I've kind of scraped that decal off. There's a bunch of scratches here anyway. So we're going to take an orbital sander with a fresh 320 grit pad. And we're going to sand everywhere I can get. And then we'll get some paint stripper to get the other spots. So there you can see the base metal and the clear coat. So I'll work away at this and then we'll come back. Okay, we've got quite a few of the scratches polished out with the orbital sander. But there's spots here I can't get in to get the clear coat off. So I'm using just heavy duty paint stripper. I think I bought this at Home Depot or Lowe's, I can't remember. We're just going to brush this on the areas we can't get the sander in. And that'll lift the clear coat. The factory didn't actually polish these spots. They couldn't get in there either. But of course then it was brand new and raw aluminum, so they didn't have to worry about it. They just clear coated it. So as you can see, all that clear coat is now bubbled. I'm using an old Scotch-Brite pad I don't care about. I'm going to start scraping it all off. Might take a couple go arounds. I might have to put more on if there's a spot I missed. Okay, now that we've got all the clear coat off, I'm going to take a pretty fresh gray Scotch-Brite pad. I'm going to start polishing it this way. So you can see it comes up pretty fast, pretty nice. You can also use WD-40. Can give you some nice results. Look at that. So that'll come up nice. I'll work away at this, and when it's all polished out, we'll come back. So as you can see, that come up pretty nice. Not a lot of work at all. If you've got really, really deep scratches, you're gonna have to spend more time. At this point, you could re-clear coat it. I'm gonna leave it raw as is, so that you know, later on I can come back and buff it or whatever. Get another scratch, you can buff it out. Okay, we're going to go ahead and assemble this fork. I've got the bushings back on. You want this bushing, and that washer under the seal. And put a little fork oil on everything. Little fork oil in the tube. This has to go in first. Don't forget your spring. Put it in the fork tube first. And that goes on. So it's not a bad idea to scuff up this washer a bit on a piece of sandpaper. to help it seal. Okay, I had purchased a fork seal driver that said 38/39 millimeter, and what I discovered was it won't fit all the way inside the fork tube. It'll get stuck. To make this work, I'd have to machine some off of here, so I'm just going to use a screwdriver to tap it in. But watch it if you are working on these, which are 38 millimeter. Make sure it's a 38 millimeter seal driver. So once you got your seal in, don't forget this little clip. Make sure it's seated all the way in the groove, all the way around. Yeah, I've got my 10 weight fork oil, which is what the manual calls for. I'm using a caliper to set the height. I've got it set at 155 millimeters. The book calls for 169, but I'm a heavier guy and it doesn't feel like this fork has got a lot of damping, so I'm going to raise the level. It says in the manual how high you can go. I think it's 130 millimeters. Now you should pump it several times up and down to get any air out of it. And then double check your height. So we're going to extend the fork leg all the way. And your spring. And this little collar washer, then your spacer, and your cap. We'll finish tightening this once the lower triple clamp is tight. I've got these new fork boots or gaiters or whatever you call them off of eBay. They're for a 43 millimeter fork, but I think the clamp will squish them down enough. They fit this part of the fork really nice. Just taking a screwdriver and I'm going to just gently tap it in there so it opens those clamps enough that I can slide everything together. Okay, we all got it all back together. It's looking pretty sharp. When I first bought the bike, I thought somebody had slid the fork tubes way up, being a shorter rider. But when I got looking in the manual, 50 millimeters is the standard ride height. Looks kind of strange. I'm not used to it, but I'll take their word for it. Those eBay fork boots worked out nice. Clamps fit good. Did a little final buff on the lower fork tubes. Anyway, I think it's looking great. Pretty happy with that. End up going with a CR high bend handlebar. Shaped quite a bit different than the original handlebar, but the original one was bent, and they sweep back a lot more. I've always felt comfortable with a CR high bend, so that's what I'm going to go with. Anyway, I guess that's going to be it for now. Stay tuned. Next episode will probably be that front wheel, so I can get the frame sitting up level again to put the engine in. Anyway, I wanted to say thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.